Welcome to the Non-Negotiable Living podcast, where we're building lives by design by creating non-negotiable habits around fitness, family, faith, and financial freedom.
Welcome back to Non-Negotiable Living. I'm Ashley, and today we're diving into a topic that so many moms and default parents can relate to. Now, for the topic of this conversation, I'm mainly going to be talking to mothers because if you're a mom, you understand. You typically carry a heavy load. That being said, I don't want to discount any single fathers. I don't want to discount any fathers who are the default parent in their household. But the majority of the people I work with are women. And being a mother, I understand the woes of being the default parent when it comes to most of these things. So as we approach the holidays, the unseen stress of being the one who handles all the things is what we're going to talk about today. So from wrapping the presents, buying the gifts, planning the events, organizing the matching outfits for photos, making sure every detail of the season is magical, and the pressure is real. And let's be honest, it can be so overwhelming. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the unseen stress of being that default parent, especially during the holidays. We're going to unpack the endless to-do list. We're going to talk about the mental load and the exhaustion that comes with trying to make everything perfect, but we're not going to stop there. I'm also going to share some practical tips with you for managing that stress and how to give yourself grace and why it's okay to rest and not do it all. So let's get into it. So first, let's talk about what it means to be the default parent during the holidays. For many families, the default parent is the one who handles the large share of the planning, organizing, and executing when it comes to family life, especially during the holidays. That load only gets heavier. Some examples of this unseen work are buying the gifts, not just for the kids, but for the teachers, the extended family, the friends, the coworkers, maybe even your partner's side of the family. We are typically also the ones wrapping the gifts. And not just throwing them into bags, but making it look beautiful because you want everything to be special. Like I've even heard of families who wrap the kids' gifts in different paper than the adult gifts and different paper than the other family's gifts and, go above and beyond with those things. And I used to love wrapping presents. It used to bring me so much joy. And over the years, as I've become a mother, I've literally started to put every gift into one of those Amazon fabric drawstring bags. And I have a collection of them, and they go into a chest that we have in our house. And every year I pull them back out and put the gifts in because I'm so over wrapping presents. But I digress. Some of the other unseen works of the holidays are planning the events. So coordinating who's going where, making sure everyone knows the schedule, coordinating the fun activities, seeing Santa, making cookies, doing all the stuff, going to see the Christmas lights. So that's kind of the planning of events. It could also be planning the actual holiday. Where are we going Christmas Eve? What are we doing Christmas Day? What are we cooking? What are we doing? And then the cooking and the baking is a whole nother thing. So from prepping dishes for potlucks, baking cookies for Santa, the kitchen workload seems to triple this time of year. And whether it be, the weekends leading up to Christmas that you're doing things, whether it's the actual act of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, there's a lot that goes into it. Now, planning the outfits. Obviously, everybody wants to get that nice family photo on Christmas. So it's planning the outfits for the activities. Maybe it's church. Maybe it's the Christmas program that your kid's going to do. Maybe it's actually just Christmas Day and wanting to look nice. But from the family photos, the holiday parties, Christmas morning, and more, let's not forget about the mad dash to do the matching pajamas and getting them all in the right sizes if you're that kind of family. The next thing is decorating the house. Now, I will say that in most of the relationships I know where there is a woman and a male present, typically the man gets the job of doing the Christmas lights, but the woman is typically the one who coordinates getting the tree, decorating, putting all the little knickknacks up, the little Christmas decorations, the door hangers, the things on the tables. But putting up the tree, stringing up the lights, hanging stockings, and making the home feel festive. Handling the traditions. So if you're the kind of family who does advent calendars, elf on the shelf, writing letters to Santa, holiday movie nights, you're likely the one who's ensuring these traditions happen. Not because nobody else cares, but because you're the one who's thinking to coordinate them and make sure that they all happen at a reasonable time. Now the scheduling and the budgeting. So making sure everything fits on the calendar, making sure you stick within the budget if you set one for the holidays. That's also a heavy load. And the weight of that mental load is the part that nobody sees. And it's the constant mental checklist that runs through your head. Did everyone get a gift? Are the kids' outfits clean? Did I RSVP to that party? It's exhausting and not something you can just turn off. And if we add in the fact that for many of us, this time of the year, the weather is dark and cold and dreary, that just adds to the stress and the feelings of overwhelmedness and being spread thin. So we have to remember that that's going to play a part too in how you feel navigating this holiday season. So let's talk about this unseen stress and its impact. So we have a lot of pressure to make the holiday seasons magical. And as the default parent or a mother, there's this unspoken expectation that you're the one who makes the holidays magical. And if something gets forgotten or doesn't go as planned, it feels like it's on you. And that pressure can feel crushing. And it gives us an unreasonable expectation to show up and do all the things because we know how much joy it brings our children. But we have to remember that we are going to hold ourselves to a higher standard and feel more crushed by all of those things than anybody else is. Now, the emotional toll. While you're busy trying to create joy for everyone else, it's really easy to feel overlooked, underappreciated, for all this work that you're doing. And you might think, does anyone even notice how much I'm doing? And the answer is probably not, because so much of what you do just gets done and people are used to that. And obviously when it comes to the holidays, there's this whole aspect of Santa. And oftentimes we're the ones trying to create that magic. And that can be exhausting. Just that stress of getting it done and making sure it's done right can be very hard. Now, the physical and mental exhaustion, that can come from the late nights wrapping presents, the early mornings prepping meals, the constant running around, and it all adds up. And by the time Christmas morning rolls around, you're often too tired to enjoy it. Or, you're just running on empty after a month of festivities from Thanksgiving to Christmas. And then we add in the overwhelm of the end of the year. So it's not just the holidays, it's everything else that comes with the end of the year. It's work deadlines, school obligations, the pressure to set goals for the new year, and it can feel like so much. And feeling overwhelmed is completely normal. So let's talk about some tips for managing that stress. Delegate where you can. You don't have to do it all. We can assign tasks to our partners, the older kids, our extended family members. Let someone else handle some of the grocery shopping. Order groceries in. If you buy the presents and do all that coordinating, maybe ask your husband to wrap them. Delegating doesn't make you less capable. It makes you, smarter to tell yourself, I have boundaries, I have limits, I'm going to have somebody help me. And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make you a failure. It's the best option so that you can also enjoy the holiday season and not feel like 10,000 tasks are on your to-do list. We can also simplify our traditions. We can focus on the traditions that matter most to us and our family. So if baking 12 types of cookies that stresses you out, pick your favorite 2 and call it good. Or go buy a package of pre-made cookies at the store. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's going to judge that in you. And if they do, then they don't deserve to take up that space in your life, because there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, doing this year doesn't serve me. For an example, my mother-in-law is a fantastic cook, and she makes tons of cookies and candies and great stuff around the holidays, and she puts together these amazing trays and gives them to everybody for Christmas. And every year she asks me, do you want to come over and bake with me? Do you want to come over and do this with me? And as much as I love the idea of spending that time with her and learning those recipes and doing those things, this is not the time of year that serves me to do that. And I know that I feel spread thin, and I know that I feel like I have a lot on my plate. And the last thing I want to do is spend a full day baking for other people. That just doesn't sound fun to me around Christmas. So that's something that I've always set the boundary of and never done. As far as simplifying traditions, I've also set the boundary in recent years that we will only do one Christmas-related activity each week so that we're not feeling like we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off. And every year we alternate whether we do Christmas morning at my mother and father-in-law's house or we're at our house. So that gives us that every other year where we don't have to go somewhere. And when we do Christmas morning at somebody's house, it's always a brunch and we all bring something to contribute. So when everybody comes over to my house this Christmas, it's not going to be me cooking the bacon, the eggs, the pancakes, all the things. It's everybody brings something and I have my one thing I'm assigned and I'm hosting. So set those boundaries, ask people to help. When you invite people over, there's nothing wrong with asking them to bring something to contribute, and oftentimes people want to do that. Now, planning ahead is important, and you guys are probably already doing this, but not always planning ahead, but take some time early in the season to map out when you're gonna rest and relax. So don't just plan all the events, don't plan all the potlucks, don't plan all the activities, but also plan time that you guys are gonna spend devoted at home as a family to rest. Setting boundaries is key. So say no to things that don't align with your priorities. You don't have to attend every event. You don't have to participate in every gift exchange. So protect your time and energy. And if something doesn't feel like it fits, just say no. We have to communicate our needs. And I know that that can feel hard when you feel like the weight of the world is on you and all these expectations, and you've been taking care of these things for years. And now it's just expected that you're going to make it happen. But let your family know how you're feeling. Ask for help if you need it. If you need to take a break, take a break. Don't assume anybody can read your mind. We can't, we won't, we know that, so don't assume it. Just tell people when you're feeling overwhelmed. Tell people when you need a break. Tell people when you need some help. Nobody's going to fault you for that. And again, if they do, they don't deserve to take up that space. But I've found that it's a really powerful thing to be able to say, hey, I'm kind of at my wit's end right now. I can't take on anything else. I don't feel like I could fit that into my schedule, or I'm going to need some help with that. And those are incredibly powerful things to use and say to get yourself through this season. Also, budget wisely. Financial stress can amplify holiday stress. So set a budget for gifts and events and stick to it. And remember that the holidays aren't so much about how much you spend, they're about the memories that you make and the time that you spend together. This was a hard one for me because I came from a really small family. And when we moved to Idaho, I joined a very large family with my husband's family. So the holidays, the first couple of years we traveled to Idaho, felt so overwhelming. Just the coordinating, the buying everybody gifts, the cost of it. And it just felt unnecessary to me. So over the years, we've kind of adjusted how we do Christmas exchanges. And now we draw names out of a hat and we just buy gifts for one person. Now this feels so much better to me, so much more reasonable, so much less time consuming. And it makes me more excited about the holidays to just be thoughtful and get a gift for one person rather than trying to figure out perfect gifts for everybody. We have to prioritize self-care in all of this. So making time for yourself, even if it's just 10 minutes a day to take a walk or meditate or go work out, you got to do something to recharge because, again, the weather's dark, it's gloomy, it's cold. You know, a lot of us are spending a lot of time cooped up inside, so we have to take time for ourselves that makes us feel good. We have to give ourselves grace during the holidays. It's okay to rest. You don't have to be on all the time. So allow yourselves those days to stay home, recharge, that you don't have to do everything. And, you don't have to pack every single weekend with an activity. You can take a Saturday and say, you know what? We're just going to stay home and read books and have hot chocolate by the fire. There's nothing wrong with that, and you need that. Please also recognize the exhaustion. The end of year exhaustion is real. You've been running on full speed for months, and it's okay to feel tired. That doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're human. So let go of that perfection idea in your head. Your kids aren't going to remember if the tree was perfectly decorated or if the cookies were homemade. They're going to remember the time that you spent together, the laughter, the love. And if we're running ourselves into the ground all Christmas, we're not going to be able to show up as the best version of ourselves for the holiday and for the activities and for the things we choose to show up for. So we have to remember that taking that break, asking for that help, setting those boundaries is going to make the holiday season better for everybody around us, including ourselves, so that we can truly enjoy it. We have to practice gratitude daily. So take a moment to reflect on what you've accomplished this year. Before you start setting all these big goals for next year, take a moment to reflect on what you did well this year. Give yourself a pat on the back. Allow yourself to relish in the times you showed up for yourself and the growth that you've made and the progress you've made before you start telling yourself what you need to do better next year. So shifting your focus to gratitude can help lighten the mental load and remind you of the joy of the season and all that you've done well this year. So rather than beating yourselves up over the small things that maybe slip through the cracks, you can focus on the big things that went really well. So please remember, if you're the default parent, it's hard. It's always hard. But during the holidays, it's even harder. And it's okay to acknowledge that the stress, the exhaustion, the overwhelm, it's all real and it's nothing to be ashamed of. But please remember, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. And this holiday season, I want to challenge you to give yourself more grace, simplify where you can, ask for help, take time to rest, and remember that you're creating memories, not a Pinterest perfect holiday. It doesn't have to be fancy. Your kids are going to love just being there with you and doing the things. They're going to love your presence and the effort that you made, and they're going to be enough no matter how you're showing up. So thank you for tuning into Non-Negotiable Living. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear how you're managing your holiday stress and giving yourself grace during this season. Share your thoughts with me on Instagram or YouTube, and let's support each other through this busy time. And until next time, take care of yourself, have a wonderful holiday season because you deserve it, and that's what it's about. You guys got this.